I get a really fun job. I'm going to talk about simple things that you can do to elevate your audience experiences. Whether you are a planner, whether you are a booker, whether you're a speaker, I'm about to share some simple ideas you can use to instantly up storytelling engagement at any event that you're associated with. And all of it using ordinary, everyday stories. Sometimes stories that are super small but have the ability to transform how your audience feel, what they think, what they do. And critically, to help them to remember something. And incidentally, to remember these stories not for a few hours or days. How about months? Or maybe even years. Example. I was going through Dublin Airport some time back, and I had just gone through the security, and the next thing I hear is, "Oh man! No, no, no!" And I look over, and I see this fella, and he is super upset. He's got a big old Ohio University Go Buckeyes t-shirt. And he has had a sense of humor failure. Because there beside him is a security guard with a bottle of whiskey. The real stuff, Irish whiskey. We invented it. And worse still, it was 21-year-old Bushmill single malt whiskey, which I gather costs anywhere between $250 and $350 a bottle here in Michigan. Then out of nowhere, another security guard comes along, grabs the bottle from the first fella, and walks by all the others saying, "I'll take care of that." There's a fellow to my left, and he thinks this is the funniest thing. Oh my God! Oh, my God! And I look over at him, and I say, "What are we like here in Ireland?" He's going to take care of that. And he said, "Yeah, I suppose in Ireland this is what you call a wink, wink moment. I think tonight they're going to have a party." And I'm thinking, you could be right. Meanwhile, the other security guard, I got to tell you, he didn't make things any better because he pointed by all the security gates and over to where the duty-free was. And he said, "Don't worry, you can buy more over there." Can you imagine? Here's the thing. I have no idea how long that fellow was in Ireland. Maybe it was a few days. It could have been weeks. And yet, when he thinks back to the times he had in Ireland, all the marvelous things that he did, yeah, did all of those, but what's he going to remember? That day he lost that blooming bottle of whiskey. But he's going to remember that for all of the wrong reasons. Well, as planners, as bookers, as speakers, we need people to remember stories for all of the right reasons. So I'm going to share with you 3 very specific things that you should look for when you're choosing stories that you want on your stages. But before I do that, there are 2 really important foundational things that you should want to be true about every story that you are associated with. The first of those is, as I was sharing that story with you, could you see the situation? Could you see my pal with the big old Buckeyes t-shirt? His face was about as red as the crimson shirt. Could you see the security guards? Could you see the busyness and the tension in the situation? If you could, here's something I guarantee that will have happened. As soon as that story progressed, you will have been wondering, what's going to happen next? And incidentally, as soon as you do that, and you cannot help it, you will do it automatically, scientific fact, you will also start to wonder, what would I do in that situation? And this is super important, ladies and gentlemen, because this is where the magic starts to happen in personal stories, because as soon as you do that, you also get visceral feelings. Well, here's the thing. From your cradle through to your grave, almost all meaning you will ever get in life, it comes from those visceral feelings. So we want that, and we want it in large dollops. But there's also something else foundational. You could argue this is actually more important than the first, but actually you want both. So I told you quite a few things, but there were loads of things I didn't tell you. I didn't tell you what my friend from Ohio looked like, other than that t-shirt. I didn't tell you what was happening in the surrounds. I didn't tell you what my pal who was chuckling from Germany look like? Did you fill in any blanks for me? Yeah? See, this is what we do. It's human nature. And actually, this is marvelously important, because if I asked you a month from now, no, let's say 2 months from now, oh, hello. What happened that day that Eamon was in the airport? I bet you could tell me, but it would no longer be my version of events. It would be yours. It would be yours. It would be yours. And this is super important for you and every event that you organize, because what has just happened is what we call transference. And transference is the thing that allows your audience to remember something, to think about doing something down the line, and actually to also share it. So we want all of those things. And that's a nice segue into the 3 things. If you did nothing else, remembered nothing else today, please remember these that you should look out for in every story that is ever promoted from a stage you are connected with. You always want to create what I call bankable moments for your audience that they will value, where they'll think, oh, you know what, I'm so glad I heard that. I want to remember that. That's worth thinking about the next time, whatever. And in order to do that, what you should look for is to create and to share what I call ATM stories that people can draw down on whenever they need them. A, are you creating anticipation? Thank you. Because if you are, awesome, you are creating curiosity for your audience. And you really need that, because here's the truth, scientific fact. You cannot learn, none of us can learn without curiosity. It has to be there. And incidentally, without that curiosity, your audience actually doesn't pay a mad amount of attention. And also, their ability to remember stuff can be shockingly, awfully poor. But that's not enough. We need 2 other things. We also need tension. There must be something in the audience that causes your audience to think, oh my goodness, now what? It can't get any worse. You know, I think it can. But it's very important that that be a personal level of attention. Because here's something you can take to your grave. Every story that's told from a stage, you want to let your audience in. Because if you can, I promise they will be more engaged. But there's one more thing, and you could argue, in fact, this is the most important. But in point of fact, you need all of these things. You also need your audience to walk away with meaning. But I don't mean general meaning. I mean meaning that is personal to each and every person who's sitting in that audience in front of you. Because here's the thing. If you want to create change, change cannot and will not occur en masse. It has to happen one person at a time, one story at a time, and you all can be the conduit to making that happen. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can share more ATM stories from stages that you are associated with, watch what that does to increase the excitement and the joy that people have when they attend your occasions. Watch what it does to the value they associate with their takeaways and the chances that they'll actually go away and do something as a consequence of being at your event. And hey, there's a really big bonus at the end of this too, and that is that you want the audiences to place more trust in you. And when you share more ATM stories, that's exactly what they do. They will place more value in you because, frankly, you and you and you, well, you made the magic happen. Let's go share some stories. Thank you.